Title: I've had my fun. Now I'm ready to be a wife again, she texted after a year away. I didn't reply. She showed up at my door, then saw who opened it. Her face went ghost white. I didn't need to reread the message. Her words had already carved themselves into the quiet of my living room like a bad punchline. I've had my fun. Now I'm ready to be a wife again. Ready. As if marriage was a coat she could hang up, forget, then pick back up when the weather changed. I didn't reply. Not because I was hurting. Those wounds had scarred over months ago, but because silence was the sharpest blade I owned. She didn't understand that yet, but she would. There was a time when she was the only person I trusted. I'd study her face in the mornings the way some people watch sunsets. Quietly, reverently, stupidly hopeful. I had built a life around her laughter. I had believed in her, in us. I was the kind of husband who planned surprise dinners, who fixed things before she even noticed they were broken. She was the kind of wife who said, "I love you," while hiding her phone screen in the reflection of a wine glass. But I didn't know that yet. I was still soft then, still blind. The truth started with something small, a scent that didn't belong to me. Not perfume, a cologne. Sharp, cheap, familiar in a way that made my chest tighten. Then the late nights, then the silence, then the sudden hunger for space. But the real betrayal came wrapped in digital clarity, a mistakenly synced message popping onto our shared tablet. His name, his words, their plans. They were sloppy. She called it a phase, a break, a journey of self-discovery. I called it the death of every version of myself who ever loved her. Something inside me hardened that day. The hurt didn't fade, it calcified. Pain sharpened into purpose. If she wanted space, I would give her the universe. She left for a year. I didn't chase. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask where she was going. But what she didn't know was that leaving me gave me the cleanest battlefield. I spoke to a lawyer before she even packed her bags. I froze our joint accounts the moment her plane took off. I monitored the property, installed cameras, reset passwords, redirected mail, scrubbed my name from what she could weaponize. And while she traveled with her freedom, I traveled through every legal document she'd forgotten existed. I found the debts she'd hidden, the credit cards she'd secretly opened, the loans she thought were invisible. She walked away from our marriage thinking I'd crumble. Instead, I rebuilt everything without her name on it. And then I did the one thing she never expected. I moved on. Quietly, intentionally, completely. The first strike was financial. A gentle email from my lawyer informing her that marital assets were being reviewed. Assets she assumed were half hers. Assets she didn't realize she'd forfeited legally when she abandoned the marriage without notice. The second strike was silence. My refusal to answer her occasional breadcrumb messages. The ones meant to check whether I was still hers to return to. The third strike was the woman she never saw coming. A woman who treated me gently, loved without secrets, and didn't need to run away to figure out who she was. A woman who knew everything about my past, but chose to build a future with me anyway. I didn't parade her online, didn't post her, didn't flaunt her. I simply replaced my broken piece with someone who protected it. And then came the message, a full year later. Her triumphant return, her assumption that my world had stayed frozen where she left it. I've had my fun. Now I'm ready to be a wife again. Ready, as if love were a faucet she could turn back on. I didn't reply. My silence was the final move. She showed up at my door the next morning. I watched from the hallway camera as she adjusted her hair, practiced her smile, lifted her hand to knock like nothing had happened. I didn't go to the door. My new partner did. When she opened it, calm, steady, wearing one of my shirts, My ex-wife's face drained like someone had pulled the plug from her bloodstream. She blinked. Once, twice. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. My partner's voice was soft, polite. "Hi, can I help you?" The woman who had once vowed her forever to me stumbled back as if hit. Her composure cracked, splintering into panic. Where is he?" she whispered. I stepped into frame then, behind my partner. I didn't speak. I didn't smile. I didn't offer comfort or explanation. I simply looked at her the way she had once looked at me, like someone already halfway out the door. Understanding washed over her slowly, painfully. She realized I hadn't been waiting. She realized I hadn't been hurting. She realized she had returned to a place where her name no longer opened the door. Her voice broke. "You replaced me?" "No," I finally said. "You replaced yourself." She covered her mouth, fighting tears she had never cried for me. She stepped back, then another, until she was just a memory on my porch. And then she left. For good. People think revenge is loud, messy, explosive. But real revenge is quiet. It's a closed door. It's a life rebuilt without leaving space for the person who burned it down. I didn't destroy her. I didn't expose her. I didn't ruin her. I simply removed myself from the life she thought she could walk in and out of. And when she came back, expecting the man she broke, she found the man who outgrew her. She wanted a second chance. I gave her a final answer. Silence.